Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1922B, and today's date is July 21st, 2019, and the title of the episode is Message Relayed to Deep State, All Exits Are Now Blocked. Now, before we get started, we've been talking about protecting your devices, protecting yourself from big tech. I mean, it's the year 2019, and if you're not using a VPN by now on your desktop, tablet, or mobile device while you browse the internet, then you're really exposing yourself to a lot of potential danger. Here, let me show you how easy this is. Click Connect. Once I'm connected, my IP address is now different than before. See? This month, Virtual Shield is offering a 4th of July celebration special. Sign up for free for 30-day trial to Virtual Shield VPN and see what the hype is all about. You have nothing to lose. Click the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, we understand that Trump never says anything unless he has facts to back it up. I mean, think back in time. When Trump originally came out and said, I think Obama is spying on me, the mainstream media went, he's crazy, nuts, show us the proof. And it turns out that, yes, Obama, his administration, was spying on Trump. When Trump came out and said, listen, where's this aid money going that we're continually giving Puerto Rico? I believe they're corrupt. I believe it's not going to the right places. People laughed at him. The mainstream media said he was crazy. And he was right. Many people in Puerto Rico were arrested for taking those funds, giving it to their friends, taking it away from the people, asking for more, and that continually happened. And here we are today with the squad, where the mainstream media, politicians are out there saying that Trump is completely wrong. He's racist. And Trump keeps pointing out that these individuals who are on the squad, they're really not for America. And what's very interesting is that a video has emerged showing Representative Tlaib going crazy at a 2016 Trump event, and she was removed by Secret Service. Watch and listen to what happened.
I will say the Bernie Sanders people.
You guys are crazy!
You're an animal! Get a job!
And as you can see and hear, she was forcibly removed from this event. Now, the Secret Service, they physically restrained Tlaib and pulled her out the door. Secret Service agents are obviously not in the business of removing hecklers, which means she must have presented herself as a physical threat, likely by trying to rush the stage or trying to do something. Don Jr. tweeted out the following: Crooked called us deplorables. Tlaib calls us crazy. In reality, we just love our country, want every American, no matter their race, religion, or socioeconomic status, to have a safe and prosperous life and expect our leaders to put America first. It's simple. Trump tweeted out the following: I don't believe the 4 congresswomen are capable of loving our country. They should apologize to America and Israel for the horrible, hateful things they have said. They are destroying the Democratic Party, but are weak and insecure people who can never destroy our great nation. Now, Trump, he maneuvered, and the Patriots planned this, to have the squad as the face of the Democratic Party. This was done on purpose. And this way, they can use this against them. And all of this was done according to the plan. Everything that we're watching play out is according to the plan. Every time, like I said before, Trump says something, he's saying it for a reason. He wants people to ask questions. And if you notice, slowly but surely, the truth starts to emerge. This is why he mentioned that Representative Omar might have been married to her brother. That's what he heard. There's a reason why he's calling these 4 individuals out. It's not a coincidence. It's being done on purpose. Now, very interestingly, a recent study by the University of Pennsylvania researchers Daniel Hopkins and Samantha Washington found that America is much less racist under Trump than under Barack Obama. The survey concluded that via most measures, white Americans express anti-black and anti-Hispanic prejudice declined after the 2016 campaign. Let me read a little bit about their entire survey that they've done here. Daniel Hopkins and Samantha Washington set out to measure the effect of Trump's election on anti-black and anti-Hispanic prejudice using a randomly selected panel of about 2,500 Americans whose changing opinions have been under study since 2008. The academics report that they had been expecting to measure a rise in racist opinions, writing the normalization of prejudice or opinion leadership both led us to expect that expressed prejudice may have increased in this period, especially among Republicans or Trump supporters. They had been led to expect this, they say, through an extensive reading of recent literature in social sciences, which they say supports the notion that racist attitudes lies dormant inside many people, waiting to be triggered by certain events, of which the election of Donald Trump might be one. There could, after all, hardly be anything more calculated to awakening an incipient racist than the president calling Mexicans a bunch of rapists. Yet, the study found exactly the opposite. Americans, claim Hopkins and Washington, have actually become less inclined to express racial opinions since Trump was elected. Anti-black prejudice, they found, declined by a statistically insignificant degree between 2012 and 2016 when Trump was elected. But then after 2016, it took a sharp dive that was statistically significant. And moreover, contrary to their expectations, the fall was as evident among Republican voters as it was among Democrats. There was also a general fall in anti-Hispanic prejudice, too, although this was more evident among Democratic voters. So, as you can see, what the mainstream media is talking about and what the squad is talking about and what all the politicians are talking about, it really reflects on them. They're projecting what they feel on Trump. Now, we know the deep state, the Dems, they're getting prepared to have Mueller testify on July 24th. This is a redo of the deep state Dems show of trying to get information out of Mueller to get obstruction, Russian collusion, impeachment back on track. Mark Meadows tweeted out the following: Democrats privately orchestrating the Mueller hearing this week to be a 2020 campaign event for the left. This isn't about transparency. If it was, we'd be talking about the evidence of the blatant FISA abuse, warrantless secret recordings, and declassifying documents. And Mark Meadows is absolutely right. They don't care about that. They don't care about the American people. All they care about is stopping Trump. That's it. They've been trying to stop him from the very beginning. The question has always been, why? What are they so afraid of? Well, we know, and we're going to discuss this in just a minute. Now, a lot of information is coming out from the Epstein case. Remember, we are now in the build-up stage to get the American people used to hearing sex cult. Politicians and many others are involved in this sex cult, and this is big, and it's going to name high-level people. Now, a private investigator has now released the following. Says he gave the feds the names of two women who allegedly procured underage girls for the financier. Private investigator Michael Fiston first started digging into Jeffrey Epstein's alleged sex trafficking crimes more than a decade ago when attorney Brad Edwards hired him. After Epstein signed on a non-prosecution deal with federal prosecutors in 2008, Edwards had sued Epstein in civil court on behalf of a number of alleged victims who had been blindsided by the plea deal. And Fiston, he was tasked with finding as much incriminating information on Jeffrey Epstein as he possibly could. So we have this investigator. We have New York looking into this. We have Sessions, who is investigating Epstein. And we have all of this now coming out. Then we have the following. This is coming out of Patriot Report. This is a tweet founded on the boards. And it says, so Epstein's helicopter plane was using the same identification as a government aircraft. Someone had to approve this. It's not looking good for the elite. 2 years of slow moving through all of this info is finally speeding up and coming to light. Now, Jeffrey Epstein, he was caught sharing an FAA tail number with a U.S. military reconnaissance attack plane that was being used for covert operations in Colombia by U.S. state-funded mercenary company, Dynacorp International at the time. This is the same Dynacorp that was caught trafficking children in multiple countries, including Colombia. It means that Epstein's helicopter would be able to bypass border security checkpoints and elude law enforcement. There is an extremely high likelihood that Epstein's illegal child trafficking was supported and or funded by certain individuals in government, in the intelligence agencies. And as you can see, more and more information is coming out. This is all being done on purpose. This is not about a one-off individual who's disgusting. This is about Epstein being the front man for the intelligence operatives. And this encompasses many, many people. And the gawker, well, he has Jeffrey Epstein's little black book and produced 93 pages of contacts, including top politicians and Hollywood elites. Now, the book contains entries for Alec Baldwin, Ralph Fiennes, Griffin Dunn, New York Post gossip Richard Johnson, Ted Kennedy, David Koch, filmmaker Andrew Jarecki, and all manner of other people you might expect a billionaire to know. The list also includes Leslie Wexner, former New Mexico Governor Bruce King, former New Mexico Governor and Democratic presidential hopeful Bill Richardson, Peter Soros, the nephew of George Soros, former Miss Sweden and socialite New York City Dr. Eva Anderson Dubin, and there are many, many other names. Now, these are all included in his black book. The links to what they have been doing with Epstein, maybe on the island or his mansion or many other places, has not been brought out to light yet. But all these individuals being in there tells you something. And we also need to remember is that all of this has been recorded, audio taped. Files were created on each one of these people. Blackmail was used on many. And we can see why Adam Schiff is very worried. We can see why Adam Schiff wrote a letter to the big tech companies wanting to know what they were going to do about these deep fake videos. And we know that these are not going to be deep fake videos. Translation, he wants the big tech companies, the social media companies, to get rid of them as soon as they come out. And we can see already why he's getting so nervous. Because a Jeffrey Epstein accuser, this woman, alleges that she was made to have sex with Prince Andrew when she was 17 and has told the U.S. court that she believes video footage exists of her having underage sex with powerful associates of Andrew's friend Jeffrey Epstein. Virginia Roberts also alleged in a new affidavit filed on Friday that she was so badly assaulted by Epstein's friends that she thought she might die. There were times, she said, when I was physically abused to the point that I remember fearfully thinking that I don't know whether I was going to survive. Based on my knowledge of Epstein and his organization, as well as discussions with the FBI, it is my belief that federal prosecutors likely possess videotapes and photographic images of me as an underage girl having sex with Epstein and some of his powerful friends, she said. And if there's videos, audio, photographs of her, you know there are many, many others. This is why Schiff is panicking right now. Remember, this is all about optics. Optics, that is everything. Think about it. If Trump and the Patriots released the FISA D-class spying investigation email scandal Uranium One, it would look like a political hit against the Dems, depending when he released it. And again, they were investigating, which takes time. if he releases this during or prior to the election, they're just going to say that he's angry, he made this up, and it's a political hit. I believe this is why the Patriots decided to hold back on this. This was part of the plan. The mainstream media would have reported on how Trump and his administration is going after these people because of the election, to get back at them, etc. How do you shape the narrative? You need something that is outside of politics. This is where Jeffrey Epstein fits in. By exposing Jeffrey Epstein and the sex cult, this is completely out of the scope of what Trump and the Patriots are doing. Because this entire thing that has to do with sex with underage individuals, this is about these people actually having sex with underage individuals. This is them committing the act and being filmed, blackmailed, and then doing what certain individuals want. Think about this for a second. Because once this comes out, the documents reveal that these people were involved with sex cult activity. It shapes the narrative that if they could do this, they could and would do anything to protect themselves from being exposed. This is why I do believe that Trump and the Patriots have waited, because they needed both. They needed the spying, the Uranium One scandal, the email scandal. They needed all that to be investigated. But people, the mainstream media, would blow that off. Epstein ties it all together. It goes to the mindset of what these people are about and what they would do to protect all of this. And guess what? This has nothing to do with a political hit at this point, because what they did was not against Trump. I mean, if Trump brings up spying, FISA, it was against him. They could say, oh, Trump is using this as a political hit against them. What they did to these underage children, this has nothing to do with Trump. And when you tie it all together, you can now see the bigger picture. This is why the plan is being laid out like this, very, very carefully, to trap them in their own crimes. And this is crimes against children, crimes against humanity, and then take that to the next level. Now, very interestingly, there's a story out there where they were searching for a missing teen, Emanuela Orlandi, and this was at the Vatican, and they found bones there. Now, bones were collected from the depths of the Vatican. This is the latest effort to solve the mystery of a 15-year-old girl who vanished 36 years ago. Now, representatives of the family of Orlandi, who has been searching for the girl since she went missing from the streets in the center of Rome in 1983, were at the Vatican at 9 a.m. local time when the containers holding the bones were unsealed. Now, what's very interesting about this is that Q did mention Godfather 3, which translates into the Vatican. Vatican will be in the news coming up shortly. This was post 3433. Here we see there is a story about this girl that went missing, and they found this huge number of bones right there. Now, who do they belong to? We don't know as of yet, but I believe this is just the beginning stages of implicating the Vatican, and I believe there's going to be more news coming out about the Vatican. Let's head on down to the border, and it seems like it was just yesterday that Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi ridiculed Trump, calling the border crisis a distraction and a manufactured crisis. Remember when they both stood there and they showed no emotion whatsoever, and they were out there saying that Trump was completely manufacturing the crisis at the border. Well, Schumer, he decided to go down to the border to check it out. Now, he's told reporters that the conditions at the holding centers are inhumane, that we have a crisis on our hand. Now, Trump has been telling him this. So at first, the Dems said Trump was manufacturing the crisis at the border. He was making it all up. Then they said there's a problem at the border, that we have a crisis. So let's back up a little bit. Let's go over everything here. Back when Obama was president, and we reported on this, Obama pushed an agenda. He created a memorandum after the midterm elections allowing Central American countries to send their children to the United States. Once they cross the border, the parents can come up. Basically told all the Central American countries, send your people up. Obama was then putting them on buses and sending them to sanctuary cities, where sanctuary cities receive billions and billions of dollars from the government. Obama built the cages on the border. Trump didn't build one cage down there. This was all done by Obama. What did Trump change? Why do we have this crisis? He stopped the people at the border. He didn't put them on buses, send them to sanctuary cities. He said, no, you cannot pass this point, and you have to go to the detention centers because you entered the country illegally under U.S. law. And you can stay here until you get the court date, or you can leave and go back to Mexico or to your country. This is not a prison. But what we will do is we will give you a place to sleep, a blanket, food. You'll have a doctor. You'll be able to do physical activities. And you can do all of this here while you wait. And what happened was, since we weren't busing them off to sanctuary cities, more and more people started to come up, and the border got very, very crowded. And this is why we have a crisis, which Trump was telling them. So the question is, why did the Dems change tactics? They realize that Trump's policies are working. The number of illegals coming into this country is now declining. Mexico is assisting. The Dems, the deep state, realize their plan is failing, so they need to do something. So they changed tactics to stop what is happening. More and more news reporters went down there and said, yeah, we do have a crisis. Trump was right. And they were basically boxed in. So they had to change it all up. Immigrants can come to the U.S., but legally. They need to go to the port of entry. There's a vetting process to make sure those individuals that come into this country are not criminals, they're not human traffickers, they're not gang members. Why would we want those people in the country who are escaping from the law from their country? We want individuals in this country who are going to contribute to this country. And those people have no problem going to the port of entry. And those people that are coming over the border illegally, they need to back up and go to the port of entry. Some of them might have a problem because they don't want to be vetted. But that's the whole purpose. Take, for example, your home. I've said this many times before. When someone knocks on your door, do you just open it and say, come on in? Or do you vet them? Hi, who are you? What's your name? Why are you here? You ask questions before you allow them over the border. The same thing with this country. Hey, go to the port of entry, knock on the door. Hi, have a seat. Who are you? Why are you coming to America? Why do you want to enter the country? They do the same exact thing. There is no difference. And yes, immigrants make up this country. But immigrants that contribute to society make up this country. Immigrants who come to the country where they might be criminals, where they might be human traffickers, where they might be drug runners, gang members, etc., these people are not going to contribute to society. And this is why we have a border. This is why all countries have a border, because they know this. Now, very interestingly, Republican Senator Bill Cassidy and Ted Cruz, they filed a resolution Thursday to categorize Antifa as domestic terrorist organization. Ted Cruz tweeted out the following: Antifa is a terrorist organization composed of hateful, intolerant radicals who pursue their extreme agenda through aggressive violence. Time and time again, their actions have demonstrated that their central purpose is to inflict harm on those who oppose their views. Like any terrorist organization, they choose to pursue their political ends through violence, fear, and intimidation. They must be stopped. I am proud to introduce this resolution with Senator Bill Cassidy to properly identify what Antifa are: domestic terrorists. U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy tweeted out the following: Antifa are terrorists, violent mass bullies who fight fascism with actual fascism, protected by liberal privilege. With bullies, they get their way till someone says no. There must be courage, not cowardice, from the elected officials who allow violence against the innocent. And I just want to say, it's not just the United States that is stopping these undocumented immigrants coming into the country or removing undocumented immigrants from the country. There are other countries that are following suit, and I believe many more are going to follow. Italy's Interior Minister Matteo Salvini has given the ministry's regional offices 2 weeks to compile a report on the presence of Roma, Sinti, and other settlements in order to begin mass deportations. In June of 2018, Salvini ordered a special census of the Roma community, saying that he planned to boot illegals from the country. And there are many countries that are doing the same exact thing. Many countries, in Europe especially, who said, listen, we don't want these open borders anymore. We can't handle all these refugees coming into the country because we don't know who they are. And we can see that there are many out there who are now reversing their policies. Now, the deep state, they're trying to push Trump into a war with Iran. Now, this war would cover up everything because we know that China, Russia, and the rest would get involved somehow, some way, because the deep state would push their agenda to have World War III. And this would cover up everything that they were doing, also cover up the economic collapse, and they would be able to push their agenda. Now, Trump and the Patriots, they know this. They're not going to start a war. The deep state, they're pushing very hard now because they know the deal has already been made with Iran, just like North Korea. When you see a buildup like this, where the deep state is pushing hard for a war, you know they already lost. And Trump relayed a message to the deep state. I don't believe it's to the people of Iran or to those people that have already made the deal with Trump. This is to the deep state. And he said, we hope for their sake they don't do anything foolish. If they do, they will pay a price like nobody's ever paid a price. Now, a lot of people believe that, Trump is talking about Iran. We're going to go in and attack Iran. Trump, first of all, is not going to do this. We've seen this time and time again with Venezuela, with North Korea, with Syria. And of course, people are going to say, well, he did fire missiles into Syria. Well, remember, we already had troops who were already bombing Syria, and Trump fired missiles at different deep state targets. North Korea, we didn't have troops in there. We weren't bombing. Venezuela, we didn't have troops in there. We weren't bombing. Iran, we don't have troops in there. We weren't bombing. So Trump is not going to go ahead and start bombing Iran. That's just not the way he works. He's talking to the deep state that they will pay. And we know that whenever you see something like this entire buildup, you know the deep state has already lost. Remember, all the exits now have been shut down. And everything that we're watching with Jeffrey Epstein, with the investigations with the D-Class, with Uranium One email, all of this is going to be brought together and tied up in a nice bow. This is part of the plan. And it's methodical, and they're putting each piece into place on purpose. Removing their power in Afghanistan, getting rid of the poppy fields, having peace there, removing them from Syria, having peace there. There's a new president in Ukraine, so everything that Obama, Biden, and the rest tried to do in Ukraine, that has failed. Think about Libya, Lebanon, and the rest. All of it is failing. And guess what? The deep state They're being locked out of all these areas. All the exits have been shut down, and they're stuck. The Patriots have them surrounded, and they're closing in, and the clock is ticking down. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.